Hello and welcome to the Scottish Property Podcast. My name is Stephen Clark and I'm here with my co-host Nick Ponte. This is episode number 2 and we're going to go over goal settings in this episode. Conveniently enough, it's 2 days into January, it's 2 days into a new year, and it's 2 days into a new decade, so it feels like the right timing to do goal setting. Now, we both feel as property investors that goal setting is very, very important on your journey. You need to think about the end goal, about what you want to achieve in property to find your strategy, your path to success and how that's going to look like. But just as important is to reflect on your previous year and to see where they aligned with your goals and what you achieved and what you didn't achieve and try and figure out why and possibly rectify it. So I'll hand over to you, Nick. What have you had a chance to reflect on your 2019 and what's your process for that?
Well, hi Stephen, how you doing? New year, new decade. It's great to be here again on the second episode of the Scottish Property Podcast. And I was having a think back to 2019, and I guess I kind of took my eye off the ball a little bit in terms of my own property investing. It's got to be said. I think predominantly my focus was on building my business, Arc Property, which is a sales and lettings business. And because I was part of that business was helping other investors sourcing properties and building their portfolios, my own portfolio did kind of take a bit of a back seat, so to speak. But I still did make some progress. So 2019 for me, I managed to add 2 buy-to-let properties to my own portfolio. Looking back at my goals, I think I had 3 written down. So I wanted to have 3 buy-to-lets added. And so I fell short a wee bit there. In terms of flips, as you know, I like to do the odd flip as well. I didn't manage to do any flips last year either. But I guess, it's just...
So just to interrupt a little bit, Nick, do you set your goals on units to add to your portfolio, or is it on a positive cash flow or a yield, or how do you like to try and build yours?
To be quite honest, I'm not really too technical, Stephen. I keep it pretty basic, and really, it started off a couple of years back where I kind of set up my end vision for my own property investing journey. And for me, I looked at my lifestyle and what I want to achieve out of property. Now, everybody's different. Now, when I mention these figures here, this might not seem very impressive to a lot of people, but for me, I wanted to get to a number of properties where I could basically become financially, I don't like the word financially free, but if I chose not to work, which I probably never will because I'm a bit of a workaholic and I'm building a business and I like the hustle and the grind. But if I did choose to just basically retire early, then I would have enough income generating out of my property portfolio where I could just basically kick back. And for me, I had a figure in my head of £6,000 a month, so positive cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
So £6,000 a month profit. Now, what I did was I kind of worked back and said, well, if I need to get £6,000 coming in from the properties, how many properties do I need? In Glasgow, typically a buy-to-let property for me would be cash flowing about £300 a month after all expenses. So from that, obviously, I need 20 units. So that's the way I set myself up a few years back, and I'm working towards that goal. And I will hopefully get there. I've set it up for 5 years from now. So basically, I said by the time I'm 45, I'm 40 now. So I've got 5 years to achieve that. I'm sitting at number 8, property number 8 I'm on. So I've still got 12 to go. So if you spread that out over 5 years, I guess it's just under 3 properties a year. So my goal for this year is to get another 3 buy-to-let properties. What about yourself, Stephen? That's probably enough about my sort of goals. What about you? How do you set yourself up for 2020 and a little look back in 2019 as well?
Very, very similar to yourself. I'm not very materialistic. I don't really want the flashy lifestyle and the Instagram lifestyle and the clothes and stuff like that. So for me,
You're not going for the 10x, baby.
Nah, not 10. Well, maybe 10x. I like to kind of think big. I like to try and grow it there, but it's nice to walk before you can run and stuff like that. But yeah, very, very similar. But mine has taken a little bit of a sideways step the last couple of years with things like Clause 24 came in place. So I started to sell off a lot of my properties in my own name and set up a limited companies, investing back in limited companies, and I have a limited company set up with another joint venture partner as well, which we're going to add assets to it. So mine's has got a little bit more confusion over the last couple of years, but it's given me, last year's gave me nice, clear clarity going forward. I did have target last year, and it was very similar to yourself, actually. I had a target amount of units. I'd moved my investment area from Fife. I just couldn't find the deals. I wasn't finding many flips or developments. So I went back to looking to add some stuff to my portfolio as well. I hadn't done for a 1.5, 2 years. So I went to Aberdeen, and Aberdeen's a market I know well from kind of briefly visiting university there when I was 18 and working in the oil and gas industry up there. So I'd always pay attention to the market. So I went back there last year, and I went in to buy portfolios. And I'm kind of I wanted to fast track this rather than sell them off and backstep and go back the way and start a limited company. I wanted to try and kind of hit the pain points of the current industry. Stuff like the tax changes, stuff like the new compliance issues and ADS and stuff like that. A lot of landlords I felt were selling off. So rather than buying single units, I was trying to buy multiple units in Aberdeen. So I managed to pick up 4 near the start of the year, and the goal for towards the end of the year was to get 10 in total last year. But I fell short and I only managed to kind of get 6. And the other 2 were kind of individuals because the portfolio ones weren't quite going through the due diligence process, and the process was a bit long-winded, and as you can imagine, it's a bit more complex to it.
I guess there's nothing wrong. Like we should say that there's nothing wrong with falling short of your goals, is there?
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No, and I like to try and make them a little bit 10x, a little bit bigger to go, well, if I do fall short, at least I've achieved something decent. But if I had sat out last year and says I'm going to achieve 6 properties, I might have only achieved 3 or 4. Whereas I'm thinking, well, I'll chuck 10 out there. Exactly. And if I get 6, well, it's not bad. It was a fair attempt. But I am quite critical of my own performance, and quite pissed off that I never achieved them. Another thing that I fell short on last year was I like to pick up 1 or 2 flip properties a year. And I picked up I did 1 flip, which was actually 2 cottages. But the reason why I took the foot off the gas with the flips is I was meant to have a new build development kicking off, and the planning permission was approved for going into 2019. It was a case of just getting the build warrant in place and crack on. But we're on a couple of issues with surface water, so it's pretty much delayed us all year. Mm-hmm. Planning and building warrants never approved, and we're looking to start in 2020. So that's been pushed out a whole year. So there was another bit of a failure on my behalf on 2019. But I think it's important to reflect on the year past and look at your goals and look at where you fell short and what was the reason for them, and take a bit of accountability and say, well, how can I focus more on that to make sure that I achieve it for next year? So
here's a question for you, Stephen. As we're looking back on 2019, so obviously we like to reflect and we like to learn from our mistakes. So I think that's where a lot of people kind of fall into a trap a wee bit as well. Some people don't go and take action because they're afraid and they're feared of making mistakes, and that's why they never get off the ground. But looking back, is there any mistakes that you made along the way last year that you've been able to learn from? Is there anything that you would do differently? Is there anything that springs to mind? Putting you on the spot here, mate. I mean, I've got one. Shall I jump in just for a quick second?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Well, obviously, building the lettings portfolio for the lettings agency, obviously, I was pretty much starting from scratch. So I was keen to bring on as many properties as possible. Where I kind of really ballsed up a little bit was I was taking on absolutely every type of property that anybody would come to me with. So, take
on the shit.
Some real shitholes. So that one of my goals, business-wise, aside from the personal property investing, moving forward for 2020, is that obviously I'm going to be a lot more, picky about the type of properties that I'll be managing. Because they do, what you tend to find in property management and lettings is, and this will apply to property investing as well, if you buy the shitholes or if you're managing the poor properties in the poor areas with the problem tenants, that one property, if you've got a portfolio of 20 or 30, that one property can take up all of your time and it just becomes a complete headache.
Yeah, I was very conscious of that actual fact when I was maybe not downsize my portfolio, but getting rid of the stuff in my own name. I took a look at the portfolio performance and the ones that I thought were in shitty areas or all gave me. I mean, we've all got these horror stories of the tenants that I've had the guy growing a cannabis factory, the hooker, the getting wrecked by druggies. The usual, the police kicking the door down. And one particular property had all these issues, like one after another. So it was as soon as it was a case of downsize the portfolio, that was the first one to go. Yeah, get rid of that one. So yeah, I completely agree with you, and it does. And I suppose that's the good thing about reflecting back on goals and tweaking things to going forward is you're always going to make mistakes. You're always going to learn from stuff and implement stuff and make it a little bit better, and look at where you spent most of your time and how you can improve on that for the forthcoming year. So it's probably a good way to goals are they've got to be very focused. I think if it's not a goal, if it's not got an action plan written against it, then it's basically just a New Year's resolution, isn't it? So what's your process for goal setting going forward then, and kind of like how does it look like for 2020 for you then?
So I know you were talking a little bit about you get a bit more technical than this. I'm pretty basic, and I just get the notepad out, and I'll either write them in my notepad or stick them in my phone. And I think I had about 5 written down, and it's just like 1 to 5. That's just what I want to do. So like I said, moving forward, 2020, I want to get 3 buy-to-let properties. I want to do 1 flip, development buy-to-sell projects as well. I am because I haven't done a flip for a couple of years, I'm kind of missing the kind of creative side of that. So I'm dying to get back into the flips.
No, I'll keep an eye on my Instagram, mate. I'll keep you right.
Yeah, that's it. And obviously with my business goals for Arc Property as well, I'm currently sitting at 75 managed properties. I want to get that up to 100 by the end of the year as well. So that's kind of, I think it's the 3 off the top of my head that I can remember. I think I've got a couple set out as well. But that's basically aligning with my 5-year plan. As I said before, to get to my 20 units, this is what I need to do this year. Now, because
so do you keep that in your mind all the time, your 5-year plan?
Yeah, my 5-year plan, basically, because I just feel that if I could just tick off on all 3 properties this year, then I'll be happy with that, and I'll just be making progress, and then I'll get that sense of satisfaction. But I think I know a couple of tips for listeners as well. Goals don't have to be like annually. They can be broken down. I mean, in my day-to-day, I have goals. I have tasks that I need to carry out. They can be goals as well, or something you need to complete by the end of the week. If there's one thing that's really, really on your mind, then get it written down on your notes or I use Google Tasks, and it's great because it's got a wee box with a tick, and you can just go ding at the end of the week, and it gives me a real sense of satisfaction. Yeah, so just being able to tick them off or stroke them out. Some people like the pen and paper, pencil and paper. They can score them out. I just like doing it on the phone. Basically, I'm a paperless type of guy. What about you? I know you go a little bit more technical, do you?
The last couple of years, it's basically been a note on my phone, and I usually break it down into different sections, and I always find that I start with places I want to see that year. So it's something that I'll do with my wife. If it's a city break or a family holiday, I'll put that as my kind of top. There's where we want to go. And the other ones, like a couple of things you want to do, whether it be something adventurous like a parachute or a bungee jump or a skydive or something a bit.
You go through the travel brochures and do the cutouts and stick them up in your vision.
No, I've not got the vision board. No. So yeah, it kind of starts off with that, and I always find that if you've got these kind of stronger reasons why rather than just a financial goal, it makes it a little bit more, kind of gives you a bit of kick at the arse as well.
Yeah.
And then I break down my business goals, and my business is property, obviously. I break them down into net worth. A net worth goal, a net cash flow goal first is one that I'll always put in as a first protocol, and a net worth.
So net cash flow, basically, what's that? Your profit? Are you talking?
Yeah, basically top line profit, cash flow after all expenses are paid from the property. Always want to increase that every year by a set amount of target. I'm not big on, I've kind of had the conversation with before, I'm not big on the whole, I've got 30 properties in my portfolio, I've got 3 or I've got 100, because it depends how you bought them. If you bought them right, if you bought them smart. I always go by cash flow, so how you're buying, what money you've
All
managed to
cash
pull
flow,
from.
different amounts as well.
Aye, definitely, yeah.
And you using spreadsheets then to kind of keep track of all this?
Yeah, I do. I've got a kind of appraisal document, and I know what it's going to look like, and then when I've completed it, I'll look at my refinance, my spending, and make sure that's hitting my cash flow monthly target for getting that property. So yeah, I've always got a net cash flow amount that I want to achieve each year, whether it be £1,000, £2,000, £3,000 a month additional per year. I'll look at that. And the other one that I've added this year, which is new for me, was to give back a little bit, and it's one of the motivations from doing the podcast. And I've agreed to do a talk at the Scottish Property Investment Conference in Edinburgh.
I've seen your mugshot appear in my Instagram stories there, along with the big hitters in the property guru world. So you're going to be up on stage there, speaking to how many people?
He says 200, which makes me shit myself quite a lot. So
that's 200 potential extra podcast subscribers, isn't it?
Mate, I was thinking of us when I done it. I said yes. I thought, do you know what? People are going to listen to this podcast, listen to us talking nonsense. But yeah, so that was a big comfort zone stretch. I only agreed to that a couple of weeks ago. It was something I quite wanted to stretch a little bit more and give back and talk a little bit there. And I think I spoke before in the introduction as well about I'd done a mastermind group for the last few months of the year, and I really enjoyed it, and I felt it was quite rewarding. I enjoyed kind of giving back and teaching these guys. So I've decided to do a couple of little master classes this year, one on property flips and one on property buy-to-lets, like nothing out of the ordinary, no this huge property guru that's going to teach every strategy, just the ones that I do that I think that I excel in. So yeah, they're my goals for this year. I've got my target for my portfolio. And obviously,
do you have like an end vision for this whole? I mean, are you just going to keep going, like, or do you have like an end game where you see yourself, like, you know, retiring in some villa out in Spain and that?
I've got my goals, my very similar to you actually. My goals, kind of my long-term goals, reach when I'm 40.
Yeah. You're a little bit younger than me. What age are you? Just
35.
35.
I've got 4.5 years yet, so I've got my goals for when I'm turning 40, and I kind of work back from there. And it's very similar. It's a monthly kind of residual cash flow that I know that, well, if shit hits the fan, if I die tomorrow, my wife, my kids are taking family. I'm leaving a bit of legacy. Like I say, if something happens to me, I can't work or I can't produce or I don't want to, and then the freedom's there, and it's basically just it's given me the freedom to then do what the hell I want to do with the rest of my life for property. But I'm very much like you. I love hustling. I love, you know, if I can negotiate a couple of grand extra off a deal, like, it just excites me. So I can't see me ever giving up on that. So it's something that I'm probably always going to do in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I think we're both a bit similar in terms of, like, we're not really that materialistic. You know, we're not all about show me your wrists, mate. Have you got any? You've got no big watches on.
There's no Rolexes here or that, mate. No.
Don't post pictures of our big fancy motors or anything. I've got a big fancy motor anyway, but yeah. So we want to keep it real. This is keeping it real here on the Scottish Property Podcast, which the majority of people, let's face it, you know, most people that are investing in property are not, you know, multi-millionaires.
They're investing for additional income or a bit of freedom or a bit of time freedom or financial freedom or whatever it is. Yeah, they're not looking for the huge big goals. I mean, yeah, I've got plans above what I've got. I do like my cars. That's probably my weakest thing. I've got a couple of goals on that front. But I mean, I'm very grateful for what I've got and what I've achieved in life already. I'm quite happy where I am. I love the house we're in at the moment, but it's not my dream house. It's not my forever house. I've still got this plan at 40 to build my dream house and stuff like that. So that's kind of in line with the rest of my goals as they go along the next 4 years as well.
I've absolutely got no issue with that. See, when I see people who have got an absolute passion, you were saying there, you've got a passion for cars or whatever, right? And then one day you're in a position where you go and buy your dream car or whatever. Like, I'm not into cars at all, right? But see if that's what floats your boat and you're doing it for you, and
Mm.
you're, you've got the passion for that, then absolutely 100%. I think that's cool, right? Where
In all fairness, right, I'll tell you something, because it's probably quite a convenient story to tell the listeners. About 2 years ago, I kind of had that, like, oh, do you know what? I've been working hard for another few years. I've never really treated myself to a car for a while. It's time I treat myself. And I went into the BMW garage, and it was Maya was only a year old at the time, so I was like, I need to look for something quite family oriented. My wife was going to drive and stuff as well, so it was like looking at the whole four door. So I went for a BMW, and my wife was like, oh, there's a 320, and I was like, no, I love performance cars. She says, no, if I'm going for a family saloon car, it's got to be the 3-litre twin turbo diesel one, X-Drive, 316 brake horsepower, and that was my thing. So I thought I was going to do it. I had the money sitting there. I'll go in and I'll buy the car. But it was always the same point. I always think, I could get another property with that. Yeah. So I'd kind of hummed and hawed for a few weeks, and I was like, I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to bother. And I came across a property in Kirkcaldy. It was a 3-bed end terrace traditional property. And I saw it in the market, but I knew the owner kind of through the grapevine. So the guy had a crane company, and he was looking to invest in his company to buy a crane. It was a good deal. He was getting that crane. Didn't know anything about it. But what I did know was him and his business partner had these buy-to-lets, and this was one he wanted to sell. So it was sitting in the market, and it was valued at the time at 110. And I knew he was just motivated to sell. So, and I knew I had this money sitting there. I was going to buy a car anyway and treat myself and stuff. So I said, do you know what? I'll offer you. I think what did I get for 82 grand or 80 grand or something around about there. So obviously I needed my 20 grand deposit, a few grand for fees and buying fees and stuff like that. So I pretty much blew the money I was going to get for the car. So as this process was going through, I went back to the BMW garage with my wife, and she says, oh, I thought you had changed your mind. I thought you weren't going to bother getting a car. I said, yeah, I'm going to get a car. So the guy sat down and he says, oh, what are you doing? Are you buying it cash or are you buying it on finance? They hadn't put anything on finance before, or PCP or we call it. I says, oh, what's your finance packages? So it's 300 odd quid a month or whatever it was. He says, that's fine. And then my wife's looking at me like, this is not like you. You're all about the cash flow and increasing it. I says, that's fine. So the money I was going to have to buy the car anyway, I'm just going to put it into that house. It's cash flow me £305 a month positive every month. Yeah. So it covers the cost of the car every month. So I end up getting the best of both worlds. So I think that's quite a nice story for our listeners. That you still have your materialistic things if they're what you want, but as long as your portfolio, your assets are paying for it, and it's that whole rich dad, poor dad concept, isn't it?
Same could be applied if you're looking to get a bigger house.
Yeah.
Say you've got a bit of equity tied in. I'm actually in the position at the moment where I'm moving house, and say we've got like about, 120 grand tied into this house. Now, we could go and put that all into the next house that we want to buy, or we could keep like 50 grand of that and go and buy another 2 buy-to-let properties, And the income that you've got coming from those 2 buy-to-let properties is pretty much going to pay off most of your mortgage on your new house.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. No, for sure, mate.
So it's another thing to think about anyway. So listen, let's give a couple of tips back to the audience here, back to the listeners. Can you think, just off the top of your head, give me 2 tips that you would say for give me for goal setting?
So goal setting, I would keep it specific to what you want to achieve. So if you're going into property and you want to quit a job, you hate your job, you can't stand it, maybe the strategies that myself and Nick are speaking about right now in buy-to-lets and adding to our portfolio is not for you. You're going to want to get something that's more cash flow and an SA, a rent-to-rent strategy. So really look at what you want to achieve. Think of the end at the start, I suppose. And another one I would think would be to find a way of tracking them. So we're talking about yearly goals. I set a reminder up in my diary. I think it's every quarter, every 3 months or 4 months. And it's just to review my goals. So I know that every quarter I'm keeping an eye on my goals. So I know what I've set out for the start of the year. And I know that, if that's 10 properties throughout the year, you know what there should be every quarter. Mm-hmm. So I think the top tip would be have the end in mind, know what your focus is, but also have a way of tracking it. Because there's no point in you getting to December and going, oh shit, I better look back at my goals and go, oh, I was going to add 3 properties to my portfolio and I never added none. Well, what are you going to do in 3 weeks in December? Fuck all. But because if you looked at it in June, you might have given yourself a kick up the arse to get 1 or 2, and it was better than falling really, really short. So yeah, I think to keep focusing is giving you that kind of bit of accountability and that bit of vision to keep striving for your goals and keeping them in your forefront of your mind, basically. Would be mine. What would your tips be on the same?
Well, you stole my thunder there, mate, because I was going to say something along the same lines. So, yeah, obviously I get a lot of people who are interested in investing in property, and a lot of people who are new to it as well. And, they come to me and they say, I'm interested in investing in property. And I say to them, what's your vision for it? What do you want to achieve? Are you looking to build up a pension pot for your retirement? Are you looking just to pass on something to your kids, later on in life? Are you looking for cash flow to be able to quit your job eventually? So really need to have that conversation with people really, really early on before they even purchase their first property, what their end goal is. And it doesn't need to be absolutely 100%, they can change it along the way, but you need to have some sort of vision. So like you said there, start with the end in mind and then just reverse engineer it. I listen to Gary Vee a lot, right? That's one of his favorite phrases is reverse engineer. So start and then just work back. Obviously, you need to be self-aware as well, exactly what you want to achieve in terms of your lifestyle as well. So you need to think, how does that relate financially in terms of how much you need to make as well. So you need to have figures written down, what it'll take to get there. And yeah, I think that's about it. And get them written down. There's no point in just thinking about them in your head. You need to have them written down and, like you say, look back on them at the end of the year.
That sounds good, mate. Sounds good. That's probably a good place to wrap up. Maybe just go over the Facebook group page.
Yeah, so obviously we set up the Scottish Property Podcast Facebook group. I think we've got 100 members on there now. So that's been growing all week.
Nice.
We've been trying to get a bit of engagement, interaction, build the community.
And
Steve,
you've also
want to see you do your Facebook Lives up in Aberdeen, because a lot of people are interested in that market as well.
I'll do that, mate. You can hold me accountable to that. I'll make sure to do that. You've also managed to get the podcast available on all major outlets, haven't you? You've got them on iTunes and Google and what's the other one?
Yeah, across everywhere that you can basically find podcasts. So Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Even if you ask your Alexa, we could try this just now. Actually, Alexa, play Scottish Property Podcast, and hopefully it'll pop up, because it does on mine, so that's always good. And also Spotify as well. We're across everywhere. And obviously, if you're on if you're on Apple Podcasts, please can we ask you to leave a review and subscribe as well, because obviously it'll help us try and reach more people.
Brilliant, superb. I think we'll wrap up there then. I think we've got clear goals. We've managed to give tips to the listeners on how they can set their goals and how they can look at focus and what they want, try and figure out who they are as a person and what they're looking to achieve at a property, and hopefully they can come up with some goals and even share them on the Facebook group. Then you can try and encourage people to share them.
Brilliant, Stephen. That was good chat. Fantastic.
Excellent. Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks. Speak to you later. The next one. Cheers.